Police say body parts were found in the victim and the suspect's apartments.
I wasn't just like the random gang member. I had a whole nation under me.
Please subscribe to our channel and turn on bell icon to watch more real true crimes around the world. This is Sheldon Johnson, a reformed former prisoner that is now considered as a voice for prison reform and an activist. He has recently been on the upward trajectory, with his story getting lots of media attention, even landing him on one of the most followed podcasts in the world, the Joe Rogan Experience. He appeared on the podcast alongside Josh Dubin, who is an avid antagonist of the American justice and prison system and is the head of his own law firm that works alongside the Innocence Project, an organization that fights cases for allegedly innocent felons that have been a victim of the justice system in America. Josh has been an advocate for justice system reform for approximately 2 decades. Every time he's on the JRE, he praises the show for the impactful use of its forum to spread awareness for his cause. Sheldon is one of those clients of Josh, and on the podcast, he goes in depth of everything he has experienced in prison, referring to it as basically hell.
And you were in for 25
years and 5 months.
Like many of Josh's clients of exonerees and reformed convicts, Sheldon is so well-spoken and a treat to listen to. Of course, he discusses his upbringing and the challenges of his entire family. Sheldon Preston Johnson Jr. was born on May 6, 1975 in Brooklyn, New York. He grew up in East Harlem and lived in poverty. His father was black and his mother was white, both. His parents were deaf. Sheldon points to the start of his legal troubles and how he entered the system. At 10 years old, he sprayed a teacher with a fire extinguisher in an attempt to avoid corporal punishment being administered by his instructor, which was acceptable at the time. This would send Sheldon into a hellish 3 years in which he would find himself heavily medicated and in multiple psych wards and juvenile detention centers. 5th grade would be the last time that Sheldon would attend school until he continued his education while in prison. By the time Sheldon was 13, he had lived a lifetime's worth of misery and would continue his path towards his eventual incarceration. Starting his teenage years, Sheldon would return home in the late 1980s when the crack epidemic was underway. He spent time in 2 different mental health facilities where he was treated with HDLL lithium thorazine and other psychotropic medication. Sheldon claimed he was victimized by a mental health professional and another staff member. He escaped from a facility and became a squatter when he was 12 years old. He was recruited to work in the lucrative illegal drug distribution industry. Sheldon was arrested several times for drug-related offenses. On the podcast, Sheldon recounts how he began dealing drugs. It was so heart-wrenching to hear him discuss what the ill-gotten money meant to him then. To him, it meant being able to get his mum a couch or a TV with cable or any of life's simple pleasures that she couldn't afford on her own. He says it gave him purpose and made him feel like a man, but hindsight has shown him that the values and morals he adopted up to that point were so warped and misplaced. But in 1993, his world would change upside down. Sheldon's girlfriend had been pregnant and gave birth to a son, Sheldon Johnson III. And with a son named after himself, Sheldon knew he should start living a life that his son would be proud of. But that didn't last too long as Sheldon got arrested in 1994. Sheldon was arrested for drug trafficking, kidnapping and other crimes. After spending 2 years in jail, he was acquitted. He caught a lucky break. He can now put his life back on track. But that also didn't last too long. On December 21st, 1997, he would get arrested again, but things would be more serious this time. Sheldon was charged with attempted murder and robbery. He had shot a man who he claimed owed him money, but the man survived. Sheldon was offered an excellent plea deal considering his extensive criminal history, 23 years in prison, which sounds like a great deal, but Sheldon was having none of it. He was unhappy with this offer and counter-offered with 15 years. After his counter-offer was rejected, Sheldon went to trial. He was convicted in 1999 and sentenced to 50 years in prison. Originally, he was not eligible for parole until serving at least 41 years. While in prison, Sheldon used his innate intelligence, strength, and leadership to rise in the rank of a blood set he joined in Rikers Island.
Because I was in a gang, and I was top of the food chain. I had my own nation.
Sometimes Sheldon uses the scar on his face and stab wound scars on his body to tell the story. He felt he hit rock bottom when he was in and out of solitary confinement, and also had his meals reduced and rationed as a form of punishment. Although he had made a name for himself in the land of gangs and criminals, he hated that word of his. Notoriety was making it back to his son, and he decided he didn't want to be that dad. After having unpleasant experiences in prison, like being placed in solitary confinement, Sheldon decided to become a model prisoner. He earned a GED and an associate's degree in liberal arts and a bachelor's degree in behavioral science. He was also active in a few other prison programs and helped inmates in various ways. On May 4, 2023. After serving only 25 years of his sentence, he was released from prison. He was able to get out early, despite the judge originally ordering that he serve at least 41 years. Sheldon went to work as a client advocate for a law firm called Queen's Defenders, which is known for community outreach in addition to legal services. Their outreach to troubled youths often starts before the youths find themselves in actual legal trouble. On the show, Sheldon discusses how he began turning his life around. He began pursuing his education, quit smoking, drinking, and avoided any other substances. It was interesting to hear him talk about how lonely the process was. Obviously, he is now a stranger to the people he knew from gang life, but he even cited family as a source of doubt, saying that some didn't believe he had course corrected until they attended his graduation from Cornell University. Sheldon also lists progressive involvement and giving back as one of his strongest motivators. So this story is now a story of triumph in the face of adversity. Sheldon has made it out of the impossible hole that he was placed into. He is now in a position to positively affect people's lives, and he was taking every chance he got at that. After you hear him talking, you can tell that he is clearly on a new path in life. It is clear that Sheldon has seen the last of his criminal days, let alone prison. But that's not the end of the story.
We've learned the man accused in a brutal killing was an advocate for criminal justice.
On March 5, 2024, at about 8:25 p.m., the police responded to the apartment of 44-year-old Colin Small at 979 Summit Avenue in the Bronx, New York. The building superintendent had contacted them after growing concerned about Colin's well-being. Neighbors said they heard 2 loud bangs, and a moment later, 2 more loud bangs. One neighbor reported hearing a man pleading for his life, yelling something like, "I have a family." Police encountered Sheldon Johnson in Colin's apartment. When they searched the apartment, they found the remains of Colin Small. His torso and his foot were discovered in a blue bin. His legs, one of his arms, his other foot and his head were found in a freezer. Colin's head had sustained a bullet wound. The police start their investigation and would soon find video footage from a security camera in the building that would make it clear that Sheldon was the one who was responsible for the death of Colin Small. Colin Small was a dangerous career criminal. He had been charged with drug offences and robbery. In October of 2018, he was released from prison after serving 10 years for felony assault. Sheldon and Colin were longtime friends, having met in prison years earlier. Colin can be seen entering his apartment and never coming out. This is what caused the superintendent of the apartment to call the police. And when they checked the cameras, they saw what was happening. Sheldon was caught on camera on Tuesday night, carrying a full garbage bag and cleaning supplies in and out of the apartment of Colin Small. The police looked further and saw several instances of Sheldon coming in and out of the apartment, bringing in cleaning supplies, and in various disguises. Even wearing a blonde wig with dark glasses at one time. So the police searched his apartment and found Colin's legs, arms, and head stuffed in the freezer. The police promptly arrested Sheldon Johnson with the media and cameras everywhere outside. He was claiming his innocence as he stepped into the police car. The case is still ongoing, and we are sure that the details will come out soon. As we go back and rewatch the podcast episode, it is clear that Sheldon thinks that the crimes that he is admitting to are fine, because in his mind, he is operating within a different set of rules than the law, a somewhat rules from the streets, so to speak. And with that attitude, it is easy to see how he would jump from this seemingly reformed and stand-up citizen into a ruthless murderer. Thank you for watching this video. Like and subscribe for more videos. See you in the next one.